Hi Laura,
Hello.
thank you so much for coming in today, despite the bad roads and all that. So today we're going to talk about how to build community through culture and government's role in supporting arts and culture in rural communities. So first of all, could we get you to introduce yourself?
Of course. So my name is Laura Parent. I live in Prince George, BC, which was where I was born and raised. I'm a university student first and foremost. I'm in my final year of a political science degree. And I got involved in the NDP about 3.5 years ago. I was super passionate about education, and more importantly, I was frustrated with the BC Liberals, and I wanted to get involved, and I kind of just grew from there. I've served on a bunch of different executive roles within my party. I've worked on a variety of campaigns, both locally, provincially, and federally, and then the opportunity came for me to run. So in my spare time, I'm a scout leader. I've been involved in scouting for about 15 years now, so scouting is kind of a passion for me. I work with kids ages 8 to 10 years old. I think that's the most important things about me. I'm an avid community volunteer. I sit on my university senate as the vice chair. I work with groups like St. Vincent de Paul. I'm a curatorial assistant at Two Rivers Art Gallery in Prince George. So that kind of gives that good cultural connection there. Yeah.
Well, thank you. For many of us here in the Robson Valley, arts and culture is very important, and there's a big push to get access to arts and cultural stuff so that we feel that we have an equal access here in rural areas especially. What would you say are the benefits of having a thriving arts and culture scene?
Oh, I don't even know if I have enough time to list all the benefits to that. We know arts and culture is critical. First of all, to our understanding of our world around us, particularly for youth. The whole STEAM acronym is STEAM for a reason: science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. Because arts contributes so much to our knowledge systems and our education and the quality of our life. So that aside is critical, and kind of building upon that quality of life part. Arts builds community. Arts and culture have this really amazing way of bringing people together and showcasing local talent from abroad, and connecting people. And just that interconnectivity alone is important. In the age of COVID-19, having connections through things like art is so important. That role cannot be understated, really. And in rural places, that's even more so. It can feel very easy, I think, in a rural community to feel separated from arts and from that high-end, highbrow type culture activities, but that is not the case. Rural areas across this province and across the riding of Prince George-Valemount are so important, and they're beacons for that cultural community.
Does government have a role to play in supporting arts and culture?
I do. I think so. Like I kind of said, it's easier in larger centers to have that connection to arts and culture, but there's so many more challenges in rural communities. We know that arts and culture is important, so how do we make it thrive? And that can look like a bunch of different things. Something like financial support, technology support, training for new people in the arts, connecting different arts groups. Those are all really important things that government can do.
And how does culture play a role in enhancing our connection with nature and the environment, and integrating culture and crafting and artisanship with our communities?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. So one of the things that I love about Two Rivers Gallery in Prince George is they have a strong emphasis on maker culture, and we have what's called a maker lab, which is a really hands-on artisan type of art that connects people to art forms that are more close to nature. Through things like arts and culture, we can gain a better understanding of our world around us, and that helps shift our entire worldview and gain that better connection, better understanding of our world. That has some real world practical implications to it too. Understanding our world and our natural environment allows us to protect it more and gain a better appreciation and a stronger desire to protect it. But it also keeps traditional skills alive. So things like candle making is something that I was introduced to recently as a really beautiful form of art that's functional and has really deep roots. It's also a really great way for Indigenous peoples to reconnect with culture that they've lost for years. or to expand their culture and share it with other people.
Mm-hmm. And even here, it's not just painting and quilting, it's small crafts like building instruments, for example, or building things using the natural resources that we have right here, like wool, wood, and pottery, for instance. And it creates so many opportunities for people to have things like that where they can sell it and have business opportunities out there instead of
Absolutely.
buying things, because we do live in a throwaway society,
Mm-hmm.
it seems. And how can government help with that? Like supporting local niche markets and micro industries and
That's awesome. Yeah, it's our small scale producers that make things like the goods we're surrounded by are critical, first of all, to BC's economy and BC's cultural life. I think having small producers with very fine artisan techniques really makes rural Canada life the way it is and contributes to that. I think government does have a role to play in that, in supporting these people, in providing platforms for people to share their work. With a pandemic, that can be hard, but providing incentives for things like farmers markets, platforms and supports for things like farmers markets, facilitating connections between artisans, financially supporting institutions like this one we're in now, and other galleries and different type ideas like that, where artists can have a platform where they can share, they can express themselves, and then they can connect as well.
Mm-hmm. And what role does culture play in economic development, if we're going along that thread?
Yeah, that's huge. I think one of my backgrounds in my academic study is understanding the way that our rural life is impacted by economic development. And economic development isn't just industry and making money and big companies and profits and corporations. Economic development is bringing an entire community into these spheres of commerce and trade and engaging in those kinds of activities. So culture, first of all, opens a whole new door to that. Things like pottery. I have this very personal obsession with replacing all of my dishes with homemade pottery. That supports a local artisan, that helps them, it enriches my life, and it gets people talking and people sharing and engaging in that kind of activities as well.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of rhetoric lately about rural-urban divide in BC, not just in BC, the whole country and many places around the world. How do we ensure that rural communities have equal access to arts and culture?
Yeah, that's the whole urban-rural discourse is really interesting, and it's being changed every single day as we gain a greater understanding of what it means to live in an urban life versus a rural life, and all the different connotations surrounded by that. As I stated, we know that arts and culture are critical to life in rural centers, and so it's really important to understand what makes arts and culture in a rural setting very, very different than an urban setting. One thing that I've noticed already is long distances in the riding of Prince George-Valemount can make it hard for communication and for artists and artisans to engage in just talking and working together. I'm really lucky that my campaign manager is an artist, and she tries really, really hard to make it to different communities and to share and work with other people. That's really easy in an urban center, but not as much in a rural center. And it helps contribute to our life and our standards of life there. Another issue that's kind of close to my heart is seniors care. And part of that is recognizing the importance of keeping seniors in their community, to have connections with their community, their culture in their community, and share their skills with the community as well. So recognizing that difference and how do we support those people in that community. So that means finding beds to keep seniors in that community. That seems like such a simple thing and so seemingly unrelated to arts and culture, but it is so intertwined to building that community atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
Does that answer the question?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Yes, it does. And I know here, a lot of artsy and crafty people will get together and build things like quilts, for example, and it becomes a community event in some ways, which enhances people's quality of life.
Yeah, quality of life and connectivity and those social interactions that happen are really important. And we don't always get the same social interactions in a rural setting as we do with an urban setting. So having something to facilitate that is so critical.
Is there anything you would like to add to our conversation?
I don't think so. Thank you so much for having me. I just really enjoy looking around the room at all the different cool things, especially that teapot up there. That's so pretty. I keep looking at it. But yeah, I think that's it.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming in today.
Of course, and thank you again. Thank you for hosting.
And good luck with your campaign.
Thank you. Thank you.